Thousands of protesters are in Washington today calling on Congress to include a clear pathway for migrants to receive U.S. citizenship. The march comes as Mexico and the U.S. struggle to deal with a recent spike in migrants arriving at their southern borders. Many of them are Haitians. Some have fled their country amid violent unrest and the assassination of their president. Others have fled because of displacement from hurricanes. Meanwhile, the Department of Homeland Security is ramping up deportations in response to people trying to enter the U.S. near Del Rio, Texas. The U.S. has already sent back several hundred Haitian migrants from a makeshift camp there. As many as 12,000 undocumented people are sheltering in the encampment. This follows the Biden administration's pledge to resettle as many as 125,000 refugees in the U.S. in 2022. The promise will reverse historic cuts to the U.S.'s refugee program made under the Trump administration. Joining us now for more on all of this is CBS News immigration reporter Camilo Montoya-Galvez. Camilo, welcome. So we are seeing immigrants and their allies descend on the Capitol, calling on Congress to implement some real immigration reform in the next budget reconciliation package. What exactly are they asking for, and how likely are they to get it?
Yes, good afternoon, Tanya. Over the weekend, the Senate parliamentarian ruled against a proposal by Democratic lawmakers that would have legalized millions of undocumented immigrants here in the U.S. through the budget reconciliation process, which, as you know, bypasses the 60-vote threshold that is typically needed to pass major legislation in the Senate, and that would potentially allow this immigration proposal to pass without any Republican support in the Senate, because, as you know, the Senate is evenly split among Democrats and Republicans, and Vice President Kamala Harris can issue a tie-breaking vote. The Senate parliamentarian said that this proposal to legalize as many as 8 million undocumented immigrants would not pass the necessary requirements that are needed in the budget reconciliation process, which says that these bills need to have a direct impact on the U.S. budget. This proposal would have legalized Dreamers, young undocumented immigrants who came to the U.S. as children, temporary protected status holders, farm workers, and other pandemic-era essential workers. After this ruling, Democrats are now scrambling, Tanya, to present alternative arguments to the Senate parliamentarian to try to convince her that they can accomplish this through this arcane Senate method. Otherwise, Tanya, it is going to be very difficult for any type of legalization program to be enacted by Congress, because as it stands, it is very unlikely for 10 Republican senators to vote to legalize millions of immigrants.
And Camilo, this all comes as the Department of Homeland Security is investigating some disturbing footage of Border Patrol agents on horseback aggressively dispersing a group of Haitian immigrants near Del Rio, Texas. What has the administration said about those disturbing pictures?
Sure. So the Department of Homeland Security last night announced that it will conduct a swift and full investigation into what it called extremely troubling footage that showed some Border Patrol agents on horseback dispersing and chasing migrants near Del Rio, Texas, which has seen a massive increase in the number of Haitian migrants entering U.S. territory. We know that videos and pictures captured over the weekend showed some Border Patrol agents swinging ropes as they tried to impede the passage of Haitian migrants. And these images provoked widespread uproar, including among some top Biden administration officials. Vice President Kamala Harris, Secretary of Homeland Security Alejandro Mayorkas have all come out to denounce these images, calling them horrifying and unacceptable. And now, as we've said, they will launch this investigation. But this is, again, part of a broader problem that the Department of Homeland Security is currently facing at the U.S.-Mexico border. At one point, there were as many as 15,000 migrants, most of them from Haiti, at this international bridge in Del Rio. And now the Biden administration is scrambling to process them, including by deporting hundreds of them back to Haiti.
And Camilo, the Biden administration is planning to expand the number of refugees allowed into the U.S. by more than 730% in 2022. What more can you tell us about this plan and how the Biden administration intends to implement it?
Yes, the Biden administration notified Congress yesterday that it intends to raise the refugee cap to 125,000 spots for fiscal year 2022. This is a seven-fold increase from the historic low Trump-era 15,000 person ceiling that was set before President Trump left office, and it marks a dramatic shift in U.S. Refugee policy. For the past 4 years, the Trump administration dramatically cut refugee admissions to the country. So this is a big step that refugee advocates had been urging the administration to take. But admitting this many refugees will require other operational and logistical measures to try to help the resettlement agencies integrate these folks into American society. And this plan to resettle more than 100,000 refugees during the next 12 months comes, Tanya, as you know, while the administration tries to resettle an additional up to 60,000 Afghan refugees who are expected to arrive here in the U.S. after the Taliban takeover over the country. There are already 53,000 Afghan evacuees at 8 military sites across the U.S. mainland undergoing vaccination and processing, and they will all have to be resettled here in the U.S. by these resettlement agencies. And there are another 12,000 evacuees at military bases overseas. Many of them are expected to come here as well. So they're facing multiple challenges on multiple fronts, Tanya.
A lot of work ahead of them. Camilo Montoya-Galvez, as always, thank you so much for joining us.